Hey guys, my name is Brandon and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you like what you see in here, you're more than welcome to hit the subscribe button so you stay notified every time I upload a new video. Okay, let's get straight on with today's video. Hey everyone and welcome back to Brandon. So in today's episode I'm going to be doing a review for The Apprentice 2024 episode 10. So, at the beginning of the episode, we obviously found out we only had 7 candidates left in the process. So we had Amber Rose, we had Chizola, Dean, Mia, Anissa, Liam and Jordan. And I think, because obviously next week is the interviews, we are going to be having a double firing. I don't think 6 of them do the interviews, I think only 5 of them do. So I'm presuming that 2 of them are going to go. Not sure if he's going to fire 1 person on each team, or if he'll fire 2 on the losing team, or, fire 2 on the winning team. Probably not that option. So, yeah, this was the final 7, and this episode was called Fashion. So obviously I know what's happened. So, in with the episode. Chizola was the one that answered the call for this episode, and they were advised that they were needed to be getting ready within 20 minutes. And they've been meeting Lord Sugar, Baroness Brady and Tim at the London College of Fashion in East London, which has been creating and doing sorts of fashion shows and creating fashion and things like that since 1906. Chizola said that maybe they'll be doing some sort of fashion show or some sort of clothing task. Mia explained that Liam has a clothing company, so this could be a good task for him. And Jordan looked at Liam saying, is this the right task for you? And Liam basically just said, I've got a lot more fashion sense than yourself. So a little bit of boy banter there. And then Chizola and Amber Rose were having a chat in their taxi, saying that they were the most fashionable girls on their team. And yeah, Lord Sugar basically advised that they needed to create an environmentally conscious brand, so something that, doesn't waste plastic or doesn't, pollute the environment too much. They'd obviously pitch their idea, create a logo, create an advert, and they'd also host a fashion show with those items going down the runway to see how many of the investors would be investing in their potential brand if it was to obviously become a thing. So we only have 7 people left, so I'll just do one team at a time. So for Team Parallel, you've obviously only got Amber, Chizola and Dean. Chizola decided that she wanted to be the project manager for this task, so obviously one of the 2 sub-teams was going to have 1 person on it. Amber Rose explained for this task she was very excited. Chizola explained that she's usually put collections together before when she was obviously working at university and obviously being at school, and she wanted to go down the route of athletics/sport, otherwise known as athleisure, which is kind of everyday wear, athletic and also casual, so it's kind of a bit of both, bit of everything. Amber Rose explained that they needed to make sure that the designs were not boring. They needed to ensure that the items were something that they would wear. Baroness Brady, Karen, basically explained that the ideas that Chizola were going for were very simple, very everyday, and not sure if she's going to get the sales. Chizola explained that obviously sea and water pollution, in terms of the plastics, they can use those and kind of turn those into clothes. And then in terms of the actual clothing, Dean basically just said that both the girls had a better idea in terms of how to put the clothes together and what sort of items they should go for. So Chizola basically put Dean and Amber Rose on the branding team. She just said in terms of a logo, something clear, something simple, something creative, and obviously it was down to Chizola to actually create the designs of the actual items and garments herself. At first, Dean and Amber Rose were struggling with ideas. Dean basically explained that from a previous task, there usually is a lack of ideas, and it's usually him having to put all the ideas forward, and Amber said, well actually if anything, I think we're going to have too many ideas. Chizola was going in terms of along the route of dresses, swimwear, leggings, that kind of thing. She decided about having potentially a jacket, 4 jackets in one option. She wanted to have leggings, she wanted to have something that had high sleeves and pockets. So she was going down more the kind of gym, health, leisure, athletics kind of route, and she obviously was doing that by herself. So she kind of basically just said it's nice to be on your own team where you're not being told what you can and can't do, you can just kind of do it yourself. And she could basically go full steam ahead with those ideas. Dean and Amber Rose were speaking, and he basically advised they needed to think about the recycled element, how they can involve that within the logo and the video that they create. Amber Rose said that, it's the idea of being able to wear pieces again and again and again. Something like conscious clothing could be quite nice. Potentially something with the word apparel. Dean suggested Miss Apparel, and then Amber Rose basically said I'm not too much of a fan of the word apparel. Baroness Brady basically explained, so Karen's basically just said there was no creativity, they haven't even got a tagline done and they're still working on the logo. In terms of Chizola, so she wanted to go for a neutral coloured gym leggings, so a kind of light blue colour with a scrunch bum, which is supposed to suck in your bum basically to like make it stand out or look better. She wasn't too sure if the idea was a little bit too basic. She didn't want to do too much. She just wanted something that was simple, something that would draw audiences in order to buy her uniforms and outfits, and something that would obviously ultimately sell. Karen basically explained that she was using very safe colours. It was on the line of being borderline boring. Yeah, in terms of the branding, Dean basically said to Chizola that they came up with re-apparel, and obviously now they were going to be working on the logos. And Dean suggested as a tagline they can have something like making women look fantastic whilst wearing recycled plastic, or with wearing recycled plastic. So it was a nice little catch line. It was a bit cheesy, but Chizola loved the brand name, and obviously she didn't. The tagline wasn't revealed to her until the next meeting. Chizola explained that in terms of the outfits, she had that bomber jacket, which was a 4-in-1, a top, which Dean basically referred to as being almost like a mermaid outfit, and then she had those yoga leggings, yoga pants with a scrunch bum on it, with Amber saying it was a good touch, and adding that she can get behind those items, absolutely, especially because they're nice colours. And then obviously in terms of the actual branding, Amber basically explained that her and Dean went for typography that kind of looked like female handwriting, and Chizola basically said to the both of them that actually in their morning brief she said she didn't want anything to do with squiggles, anything to do with writing. She just wanted it to be simple text. So she said she wasn't really sure what was taken away from the morning brief. She also admitted that the tagline was not creative, but it does what it says. It's actually helping women become more, you know, fabulous and look good, whilst wearing things that, you know, are recycled. Dean was off to do the consumer research, and some of the feedback was that, you know, one of the girls said that you can go for a jog in the jacket. The gym leggings were not for somebody else. Apparently they looked terrible, and it almost looked like just a bum on the actual leggings rather than a scrunch bum. It just looked like there was a bum hanging off of the leggings. Dean explained that obviously they wanted to incorporate recycling within the logo, and during their little fashion show, Chizola was the first model up, so she had a hat on, she had a mermaid top on, and then obviously it was some random lady promoting the second one, and then Amber Rose was obviously promoting the yoga pants or the jacket with detachable straps. One of the brands explained that they loved the brand name and they agreed with Dean a 500 unit deal. Somebody else said that it's a very ferocious and competitive market. The font was quite difficult to read, and Chizola jumped in basically saying, look, you can see our enthusiasm, and then with this particular brand they just said no deal. Another company said no deal, saying that it was not cohesive with the brand, so I think they lost the brand deals there with End and Morley's. Dean explained that it's all about keeping plastic out of the ocean, and I think he even dressed up as a fish to kind of scare away the models, almost like, look, get out of my swamp, like get the plastic out of here and use it elsewhere. Company called Generous were generous, and they said that they usually do trials of 500 units. Dean managed to get them up to 1,500, so they got a 1,500 unit deal. And then he obviously introduced himself to one of the other brand competitors, saying, I'm Dean, I was the fish. So that was quite a nice little introduction, especially with his strong Essex accent as well. You then had London Works, which got 150 units from Amber Rose, and Chizola basically said to the both of them that they've put their heart and soul into this, so it's obviously up to the sales what happens next. And then for the other team, which was Team Ascendancy, so you had 4 people, so you had that extra brain. It's just whether or not that brain was actually utilised. So Mia, Anissa, Liam and Jordan. It was kind of a battle between the 2 boys. So Liam basically said that he does fashion, and he's got a fashion business on the outside. Jordan also jumped in and said that he has been involved with digital elements and garments and things like that within the online space, especially things to do with like upcycling and recycling. Both Anissa and Mia agreed with Jordan's vision, and Liam basically just started shaking his head, almost giving up before the task had even started, because Jordan called him out and said, oh, what's wrong, what are you shaking your head for? And he basically said, I'm just gutted to just not be the project manager. So Jordan decided that he wanted to go down the route of men's clothing, what men would want and how men would feel and how they should feel, explaining that he had a strong vision and he didn't want to make the items too bland. Liam jumped in basically saying he would prefer designing the actual items rather than doing the logos, because I think Jordan put him on the logo and branding team, basically saying that, you know, because you do this sort of thing as a day-to-day, put you on the branding team, and obviously Me and one of the girls will be on the designing team. And then Liam was just like, yeah, I've created my logo, but I don't do logo creating, I do the fashion side, the actual creating side. So yeah, battle of the boys. It was a little bit awkward. And then in the end, Jordan basically put Anita and Liam on the branding team, and Jordan was with Mia in terms of the designing of the actual garments. Tim basically said to camera that, you know, Jordan should have let Liam do the designing because he does this on a day-to-day basis. So yes, he shouldn't be sulking that he's been put on the other team. So he should have just gone full force with the branding. But because he's got that history of, you know, working with garments and working with fashion, then that was a little mistake there from Jordan. Jordan also said to Mia that he wanted to go for something bright, something colourful. That was kind of the theme throughout the entire task for him. And on their way to obviously going to create the items, Jordan basically said to Mia that he's outperformed Liam when it's come to creativity, so that's why he wanted to be on the designing team and didn't want Jordan and didn't want Liam to also be there as well. Jordan explained that, you know, in terms of the items and the brandings, they wanted clothes that allowed men to be able to open up. He was going to go for a jacket, a shirt and trousers. And this is when it was quite interesting, because obviously with nowadays, a lot more men stereotypically are not used to wearing dresses and skirts and, you know, things like that, but there are a lot more guys that are becoming open with their fashion, that are becoming a lot more fashionable, and they are wearing statement pieces like skirts, mini skirts, dresses, kimonos, you know, little sachets, satchels, and, you know, all things like that, and glitter and stuff. So, and it's not just those guys in the LGBTQ plus community, there are genuinely those who identify as straight or heterosexual and heteronormative and things like that. They just guys, really, anyone that identifies as a man or a male is starting to wear more colourful stuff. So I think Mia played on that, saying, look, we're in a society now where we have the new age of men, we need to be more experimental, maybe something like a dress, and obviously that could kind of break the stereotypes and the stigmas within the modern society. So at first Jordan was kind of like shutting the idea off, no, many times, just no. And he decided to go for like a grey jacket, and Mia said, no, it's not flamboyant enough. So yeah, they were kind of having their little discussion there about the clothes. And you had Anita and Liam obviously in the logos, with Anita saying that they needed to have a name with emotion, something like Express Up. So again, with the branding, it was pretty much Anita taking the lead on this. Every so often you'd hear Liam kind of like agree with what she was doing or put a little, you know, suggestion in, but it was pretty much just Anita on the branding team. So if it went well, that's to praise Anita, and if it went bad, it's to praise Liam for not helping. So either way, he wasn't gonna win that, because you can't blame her for trying when there's only one of the two of you actually putting in an effort. So yeah, I feel like, yeah, I just think he was still a little bit upset about not being on the design team. That it's not that he didn't want to put effort in, but he was just more thinking about himself and how he could make himself feel better about that situation. And then we went back to Mia and Jordan, and she basically said something about breaking free from the vibrant jacket. So you kind of have this normal jacket, you break free, break it open, and then there's loads of colour that comes out. Saying that they definitely need to push the norm, definitely suggesting and still pushing the ideology of having a dress or a skirt. She basically described it as jumping into a new age of fashion. In front of you is obviously, you know, being able to be expressive, and behind you is the constraints of society. So she got very deep and very into it, and I completely applaud her. I think just the way that they went about it and the actual garments that they chose were just not good. So yeah, Jordan basically said, actually, you know, you've won me over, the whole theatrical, dramatic side of things. And then Mia also said potentially we could do a crop top as well. So I think at this point they'd kind of gone for like a skirt, which was basically a load of sleeve and bags. They'd gone for this jacket, which obviously would open up and turn into colour. And then obviously the crop top was the only other thing that kind of looked like a French flag, but it was very like fluttery and, you know, just very fluttery. I don't really know how else to describe that. Just very, yeah, there was a lot of jingly movement. Again, back to the branding team. So Anita said that obviously Express Up, that's the title. They'd want to have some sort of arrow, but turn the arrow a bit more curvy so it looks like a shirt, which was a very, very smart idea. And to obviously include colours like green, by using blue and yellow, which obviously make green. So it's kind of playing with the colour theory and the colour combinations there. Tim obviously said that Liam was put forward as the sub-team leader by Jordan to be in charge of the branding and the logos, but it all just seemed like Anita was taking over and taking control. Anita explained that it's a sustainable fashion brand. And back to the designing, Jordan said that he wanted to go for that jacket with cape, have the vibrant colours. Mia jumped in saying that the skirt was made of a parachute, and they also had a coloured skirt as well, with Liam questioning why a skirt, like why is that an option, with Anita basically explaining that she was a little bit concerned. And then obviously Anita and Liam were off to direct the video, with Liam asking how does it look, and yeah, I think they'd just come off the phone with the other two, so they were just about to do the filming with products that they had no idea about, and obviously all they've been advised is that it's like those non-conforming clothing that men wouldn't usually wear, but actually they've gone down that route, so they had to make a video which was a bit more unique. So Anita was directing the video, with Liam kind of questioning how does it look, what do I say, you need to direct me, and kind of didn't really go with it and didn't really feel like he was actually enjoying the video. And Anita said, look, it's all about the product, and she basically explained that she was tired of carrying Liam all day. She just is aware that he's obviously sad about not being the project manager, so he's kind of just, you know, brought the team down the whole day. In terms of revealing the items to the team, Liam said he doesn't like the crop top, and Mia explained that the skirt was actually made of a parachute. Liam explained that the skirt is an amazing piece, but it's far too heavy for it to be a garment. I think there was a little bit of an awkward moment here where Mia obviously brought the item out, and I think he was just about to start laughing, and she went, everything all right? And he went, oh yeah, I love it. So it's almost like, I don't think he did love it, or maybe he did. But yeah, it was a nice item. I think that's the thing, both teams were very different. You had one team that kind of kept it safe, neutral colours with a tiny bit of blue and things like that, and then this team that were just crazy and went for like clown colours. And then, yeah, Jordan explained that these are the sort of things you would potentially see in Hollywood, and Mia explained that if they wanted to do something that was different in order to, you know, save the environment, they needed to do something obscure, unique, different, which is generally what they did. Liam explained that he completely understands the whole, you know, allowing men to wear whatever they want vibe, but there was no functionality of the actual items, and he basically blamed that on Mia's vision, which it almost seemed like she was dictating Jordan rather than Jordan leading from the front. Obviously with Mia and Jordan, Mia explained that it doesn't look like a fashion brand when she obviously looked at the logo, and Jordan explained that it looked a bit like a logo from a budget petrol station, so they weren't happy with what Anita and Liam had created. And Jordan said the video they created, that obviously Liam was involved with, had a lot of good points, with Anita jumping in saying that a lot of the video idea and the script was down to her, and it was quite difficult to work with Liam. And Jordan explained that they've created something that isn't the worst item, basically. And Mia explained that Liam needed to be a team player and obviously be in it together with the rest of them, otherwise, you know, they're all just bringing each other's mood down. It was the boys who were off to be sent to do consumer research, and Anita and Mia were preparing for the pitch. Mia and Anita were discussing with each other, and they both kind of agreed that Liam didn't really bring any compelling stories, any compelling, you know, ideas and things like that. And Anita said that he seems to be having a negative impact on the team. So obviously if you're lazy, if you're not focused, if you're not wanting to work hard, and you bring that energy and that negative energy, it's going to just bring the morale of the rest of the team down. So Jordan and Liam were obviously getting their feedback, and then there was one guy that tried on the jacket, said he felt like a superstar. Somebody said it just literally looks like a sleeping bag. There's a few other guys that said that the red and white skirt wasn't for them, potentially more for their partner. And the label, the logo, almost looks like something you just see on a bin that collects rubbish. So again, not very good feedback, but I think that's the thing, if they would have targeted more unique people, they would have got more unique responses, because they went for your standard, typical looking guy. They're probably the guys that are not going to want to wear unique kind of outfits. Liam fed back the feedback that the clothing was more for women, and it was kind of seen as women's wear. And Jordan said, well, actually, that's kind of a good point in terms of me spinning the story on it, in order to be like, to show men, well, actually, you can feel comfortable to wear these items without any judgment. Mia was obviously starting the pitch, and she obviously started it by basically saying that you can use these previously discarded items and wasted materials in order to create fashionable items. Liam explained that he felt like they wanted to get creative with their video to kind of show you exactly what their brand was all about. So the video was purely just him with a pair of earmuffs that were just discarded and turned into something fashionable. But obviously that's the whole point of their brand, that you're creating something unique from things that you probably would have just thrown away. Mia explained that there's obviously no more repressing your feelings, and they obviously then did the catwalk of the 3 items, which was the skirt, the unfoldable jacket and the red, white and blue crop top. Jordan then jumped in basically saying it starts with the story about himself when he was a little boy, holding in his feelings and expressing himself, not being able to be his true self. Now obviously having created this brand, and over time and over the years he's become more comfortable within himself, and you know, a lot more men are becoming a lot more brave with what they wear and how they act and where they go and things like that. And it's just that inner confidence and inner belief to basically say, look, I may not be the most fashionable, I may not be the most colourful, I may not be the most, you know, creative or confident or whatever, but just give it a go. It will either work or not work. So what's the harm in trying? And then obviously in terms of their deals with some of the competitors and some of the brand deals, one of the companies said the products are a little bit too niche and they probably struggle to sell them. They were impressed with Jordan's story, but just a little bit confused with the video campaign. Anissa spoke to one of the companies saying, imagine the item on your online shop, it's going to stand out on the website. And they came back and said, yeah, it's probably going to stand on the website forever. The fact that it's going to be there and people are just not going to buy it and it's not going to sell out. Liam explained to the other half of his team that they obviously had reservations towards the skirt and crop top being a little bit too niche. Anissa also said the brand is definitely unique. So yeah, they basically were discussing with the company as to whether they'd order a small order. Liam managed to get 60 units there. Jordan, again, his ideology and his story was very inspirational to another company, and he just said that himself and as his little company, they're just a small brand trying to get heard by some of the bigger competitors and bigger brands. So he managed to get a 150 unit deal with company Generous. Tim basically explained that they were low on orders. The personal story was good, but the design was niche. So I think it was the right thing to do by, you know, adding emotion and adding a personal touch to it. But then actually the actual items themselves needed to kind of follow suit. It almost seemed like he had his idea of standing out. The team had the idea of standing out, but the stories just didn't really match. But anyway, at the end, Jordan managed to get another 175 units from London Works. Liam got a 100 units deal, Jordan got a 75 units deal, and Jordan basically explained that the issue, and if they were to fail, it was to do with both the branding and the products being niche. So the branding was niche, and the products themselves were niche. So basically it was a bit of everyone's fault. Anyway, when we went to the boardroom, so Lord Sugar began with Chisola's team, which is obviously Chisola, Amber Rose and Dean. She said that she's put on shows before at university and colleges and wanted to go down the sportswear athleisure route. And she also admitted that she was the only one out of those three that have experience in choosing pieces. And she also admitted that things like pants, yoga pants, leggings are quite trendy. Dean explained that he felt like in terms of the logo, they wanted to have something elegant and something that had a feminine touch. And Chisola also explained that she had advised she wanted something clean and simple and no squiggles, squiggly writing or anything that would, you know, be difficult to read, which is basically what Dean and Amber Rose had done. Amber Rose also said that they seemed to have run out of time on the branding and then they quickly needed to go from logo and branding to the actual video. And Chisola also said that, you know, people in terms of their feedback from the public, it was kind of a bit of mixed reviews. And then for Jordan, Liam, Mia and Anissa, Lord Sugar basically had a little joke at the beginning saying it almost seemed like Liam and Jordan had a little bit of banter in terms of who was going to be project manager. Liam said he wouldn't have called it banter. He just makes designs and fashion and garments and things for a living, so he was just a little bit upset as to why he wasn't the project manager, a bit confused. And then Lord Sugar asked who pushed the ideas of skirts. So Jordan said that it was Mia, claiming that obviously to have a men's brand with inclusivity, you kind of needed to do something different, you needed to do something obscure. And he also added that they needed to speak up and obviously share their emotions as well. Again, Mia jumped in and basically just said, yeah, you know, it was a bit of a risk, but it was just, I feel like if they would have executed it in a different way, or maybe had, you know, two standard men's outfits and then just like a separate colourful item, rather than all three of them being loud and colourful and creative, have your standard shirt or your standard jacket or your standard pair of trousers, and then also like a third item being that extra colourful one, just to see if it works. Anissa explained that Liam was the sub-team leader and obviously knew that he was still upset about not being the project manager, so it was always her coming up with the ideas. And Jordan explained he was disappointed with the logo. Liam also added that he should have been on the design team because he's only created one logo in his life for his own company, and obviously the fact that he says that he does fashion and stuff every day. I think Jordan quickly jumped on the fact that, oh, he makes logos every day. No, he's made one logo for his own company, he makes the actual fashion, the actual clothes, the actual garments every single day. So I guess it would have been nicer to see Liam on that team, and then he might have not ended up in a pickle that he did in this task. But then even though he was put on the logo team, you just give it a go, you try. It's not too difficult to come up with a name, a colour, a branding. Like, you just kind of, you use the ideas from the morning brief. What does the project manager want? What can we do that allows it to stand out? And you kind of just go along the lines of that. It's only a basic outline. It's not like you're told specifically what to do. In the end, so for Chisola's team, Karen explained that 3 out of the 8 investors decided to buy items, and they managed to get 2,150 units as a total. And for Tim's team, which was Jordan, Liam, Mia and Anissa, they had 6 investors out of 8 buy items, but a lot less units from each of them, so only a total of 1,160. So about just under 1,000 difference. So Chisola, Amber Rose and Dean made their way straight to the top 5. And Lord Sugar said that he was planning a VIP dinner cruise with a dining experience for the 3 of them. Dean said, "Girls, well done." Chisola said, "Look at this, we've made it." And Amber Rose explained that there was not enough words to explain how she was feeling, and fireworks were for them around London because they'd obviously got into the final 5. And Dean also explained, saying that he knew he'd get this far, otherwise he wouldn't have signed up. Why would you sign up to something if you don't think you're going to do well at it? So yeah, little cheeky chappy there, but it was nice to see him happy. And then Lord Sugar basically explained that obviously there were only going to be 5 people in the top 5, and 3 had currently already left, which meant 2 of them were going to stay and 2 of them were going to go. Anissa questioned straight away why the crop top and skirt. Obviously when they were in the little cafe discussing the items, Mia replied back straight away saying it's more popular within men's fashion to have the skirts and dresses and, you know, wigs and things like that. And Liam explained that the failure of the task was with the fashion team. Jordan explained that the branding was just not clear enough. Mia said that Anissa did most of the branding work, and Anissa also advised that Liam was just negative from day 1. And Jordan jumped in saying, yeah, Liam was sulking from day 1. He's definitely, you know, to blame for the task, because just bringing everyone else's morale down. Lord Sugar explained that it almost seemed like Jordan and his technicoloured nightmare instead of Joseph and the multicoloured raincoat. And Mia explained that she took a risk and potentially is aware that it was a little bit too niche. Liam said that the task was about recycling, and he explained that he would have been much better as a project manager because he would have been able to get those points across. With Lord Sugar saying, yep, I know you've said it many a times that you wanted to be the project manager, but, you know, as a team leader, you still have to back the rest of the team, no matter what position you're in. Anissa explained that for the actual branding and for the logo, they wanted to express themselves within the upcycled fashion. She also said that the failure of the task was down to the nicheness of the products, and Jordan then kind of retracted on the idea of him going with those colourful items, saying that they should have gone with something traditional, and Liam was very limited help with on the actual task. Liam said that he was still able to put suggestions out there, and, you know, Lord Sugar explained it as being despondent or despondency, about feedback about Liam. He said that he was in the video, and he also gave ideas, he gave it his all, but Lord Sugar didn't have any of that, and Liam was the first of the 2 people fired from this episode. And after Liam was fired, obviously the other 3 were advised to go and sit outside, and for Lord Sugar to discuss with Karen and Tim who was going to be the other person leaving the process. So I think at this point, Jordan as a project manager made many mistakes, obviously not putting Liam in the fashion team when that's his day-to-day thing. I guess that's one of the reasons why Liam went, but also you have to think that he was just moaning about not being the project manager. So it's kind of, if he would have just run with it and done the logo and, you know, tried his best, he probably wouldn't have gone. But yeah, I think Jordan, just kind of his decision making just wasn't very good. Anissa, the branding was pretty much down to her because obviously Liam wasn't really helping, so she was kind of on her own. So it's not going to be as good having just 1 brain as opposed to 2. So she did what she could with the ideas that she had, but I guess, yeah, the branding is completely down to her. And then exactly the same for Mia, the actual items, the actual garments, the actual clothing, the ideas were completely down to her. Jordan kind of gave his little bit of input, but she was the one that said, no, we need like clothes, dresses, skirts, this, you know, unfoldable jackets and things like that. So the branding was down to Anissa, the clothing and the garments was down to Mia, and the actual mismanagement of the entire team was down to Jordan. So I feel like at this point any of them could have gone for any of those 3 reasons. But yeah, Tim basically said that it was Anissa responsible for all of the branding. Karen said that Jordan got caught up in male expression rather than the actual selling of the items. And Tim said that Mia is one of those people that seems to push other candidates to kind of go her way. She takes risks, but in this particular task, that risk was just that little bit too far. So straight away, Mia said that she put forward an idea, and Jordan was the project manager, so he didn't necessarily need to go with her idea. But I think at the same time, the fact that she kept saying it again and again and again, it was almost like if he wouldn't have gone with it, she would have moaned that they didn't go with it. So it's like he felt bad that he was kind of shutting down all her ideas. And he said that, as teamwork, I had to take on other people's ideas and I had to listen to my team. So yeah, Lord Sugar asked him how many he thought he would sell. He said, I don't know. I have absolutely no idea how many we would sell. Anissa said that obviously Liam was negative throughout the entire task, so she had to then step up and do the logo. Lord Sugar reminded her that she's been on the losing team 8 times, and she's explained that it's not because it's been her fault, she's just happened to be on the losing team, but due to her leadership, her adaptability, and the fact that she tries her best in all the tasks, she thinks that she should definitely stay in the process. Jordan also explained that, every week that goes by, he's progressing, he's growing as a person, and, he's learning more about himself. And he basically said that, having worked with people for many years within business and things, someone like Liam, as an example, who wasn't going to put in the effort and, who wasn't going to do work, would have just been removed from his business. So he's got good business acumen as to know when people are right to stay and when people are right to go. So he basically said, yeah, I only want to work with people who want to see me win. And otherwise they can leave my business. And then Mia also said that she's got a strong sales acumen. She obviously takes a lot of risks, and sometimes they pay off and sometimes they don't. And this was quite an intense part of the episode because basically Anissa said that she's shown hard work throughout the entire process. And yeah, I think just before he said something nice, he basically just said, well, Anissa, look. And she did that look of, oh my God, is it me? Like, am I gone? And she jumped in and said, look, I've shown hard work throughout the process. And then he cut her off. And then Lord Sugar said, Jordan, I've been very impressed with your manner throughout the series. So you're staying, you're in the top 5. So it was one of the 2 girls who was going to get fired. So yeah, so obviously, yeah, the fact that Anissa's eyes changed, and then all of a sudden he went, and Mia, I think she started tearing up, and Mia kind of was like, oh, no. And Lord Sugar basically just said, Mia, unfortunately, you're fired. And she went, oh, no, as if like, oh, no, I almost made the top 5, but I didn't. And yeah, it's a very emotional boardroom. I think that's probably the worst one because you're so close to the end. It's like that's the worst time to go because you're technically like the first loser. So yeah, Mia was absolutely disappointed to go, and you could just see Anissa just almost bawling her eyes out of happiness. Yeah, it was a bit emotional to watch, but I'm glad she stayed. Mia explained that she loved every second of it. Jordan explained to Lord Sugar that he's been watching the show since he was 7 years old, and he's not going to let Lord Sugar down. And Mia explained that she was consistent, she was a good contributor, and it's not fair. She feels that she's obviously lost and gone out of this task. And then Liam also explained that he's grateful about the experience and he's happy to have obviously got this far. So yeah, at the end of the episode, Amber Rose said that she thinks both Mia and Anissa will be coming back. Chisola said that obviously Liam can't throw his toys out of a pram, as if he's like a big kid. And yeah, when obviously Jordan and Anissa came back, Anissa basically said that Liam's attitude and how he acted from day one meant that he was just fired quick, straight away. And when Mia admitted to obviously being the failure of the task in terms of her choosing the garments, Lord Sugar didn't really have anywhere else to go other than for Mia. So yeah, they were the next 2 unfortunate candidates to be fired from the process, which means that we now have our final 5. So we're almost at the end, and yeah, I think it was a real bummer to see Mia go. I think that's the thing, she took such a big risk. But that's the problem with something like The Apprentice. Sometimes you take a risk that you think is right and you know it's the right thing to do, but then it just backfires because it wasn't executed properly. So yeah, bye Mia. But yeah, top 6 is not bad at all. And then yeah, again with Liam, just a few mistakes over the last few tasks I think just added up. And it's like if he wouldn't have messed up a sales pitch, and if he wouldn't have messed up, the TV ad challenge where he wasn't able to fix a mop or broom or whatever it was, he probably would have stayed. But yeah, just the fact that he was moody, wasn't PM, he could have actually taken on that role of sub team leader and ran with it, but he kind of took on the role but didn't use it to his ability. So yeah, again, shame that he's left, but again, top 7 is not bad at all. So our final 5 then. So Chizola, very strong, very confident female. You know, she obviously was creating all of the designs and the garments herself for this particular task, so you know she can work by herself. She's passionate, she's motivated, and I think from the very beginning she's been very vocal. She's just not backed down once. Obviously she makes mistakes. Obviously, you know, there's times where she hasn't been as much involved and she has been brought back into the boardroom for whatever reason. But yeah, very strong, very confident. Amber Rose, exactly the same, another female. I think for the same for all 3 girls actually, for Amber Rose and for Anissa, both very strong, very, you know, female powered. Amber Rose is always asking lots of questions, whereas Anissa's kind of always, you know, trying to prod people to try and, you know, go with her ideas or suggest better ideas, or, you know, she wanted to be project leader, project manager 3 times in a row, and Lord Sugar, it's not that he didn't allow her to, but he was basically like, look, you've got to let someone else have a go. So you can see how eager she is to want to take the lead within tasks. I think she was the project manager in both tasks 1 and 2 actually for the girls' teams. I think they lost both times, but it was just the fact that she put herself forward. Dean, cheeky chappy from Essex, again, very happy, very lively, very cheeky lad. So you can tell he's in the sales world, because you've got to be a nice guy or a nice girl, or just nice basically to be in that world. And then similar thing with Jordan. I feel like he's very serious and he's very, you know, concentrated and focused, but you can see where he can have a bit of a laugh, he can have a bit of a joke, he can have a little bit of banter, but you can see that he doesn't really joke around that much. He would, yeah, have a little bit of a laugh, a little bit of a jiggle, and a little bit of a giggle, you know, throughout the tasks. But yeah, you can just tell he's got a very serious head on his shoulders. So they are the final 5. That is the end of episode 10. I think if I'm going to do predictions as of now, I think the first person that's going to get fired is probably going to be Chizola, because I know she's powerful and I know she's strong. I just think there's something lacking. I don't know what it is, don't ask me, I'm not sure, but I think there's something that I'm not too sure about, so I think she's going to go. And then I think Dean potentially will then go next. Again, cheeky chappy, nice guy, but is that all he's got? What's the business plan saying? What are his numbers saying? You know, he's obviously, when we saw the little teaser for the interview episode, he put something silly on his business plan. So is that one silly thing going to make Lord Sugar go, actually, you're not taking this too seriously? So he, and then I think out of Amber Rose and Anissa, I'm trying to think who's the stronger out of the 2. I think both, but I think business-wise, I want to say Amber Rose. So yeah, I think we could probably lose Anissa there. And then your top 2, Jordan and Amber Rose. Yeah, I think they're probably my top 2. I think all 5 of them are good, and it just depends how the interviews go. That's literally all it's about. It's about how the interviews go. But if I was to say a top 2, I would say Chizola 5th, Dean 4th, Anissa 3rd, potentially Amber Rose 2nd, and then Jordan will be the winner, or Jordan 2nd, Amber Rose will be the winner. So they're my top 2, Jordan and Amber Rose. So if you did enjoy my review, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And until my next review, which is episode 11, of The Apprentice, enjoy your day, your morning, your afternoon, your evening, wherever you are. And until my next review, thank you very much and goodbye.